Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So for this video, it's going to be my series update, where I'm going to be discussing all of the series that I want to kind of catch up on and potentially finish this year, while also talking about some series that I'm probably not going to catch up on, but we'll try to, make some progress in, and then also potentially some series that I'm going to start this year, probably towards the second half of the year, because the first half is going to be about trying to finish up most of these series that are ongoing, and basically just to update y'all on where I'm at in all of these series. And then maybe at the end, I'll go into some series that I've actually completed, and maybe like all of the series that I've completed, like, as an adult, because I'm not counting like Narnia or like Series of Unfortunate Events that I read as a kid. Basically just the series that I've read as an adult since I got back into reading. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start off with some series that I know for sure that I'm going to finish probably in the first half of the year, that I'm completely excited to actually finish. So the first one would be Shattered Sands, of course, the first book being 12 Kings and Sherikai. We've been doing a read along for it over on my Discord. A lot of people that are, reading the books are very much enjoying it, where we just wrapped up book 3, and actually in March and April, I will be reading books 5, When the Jackals Storm the Walls, and book 6, A Desert Torn Asunder, for the very first time, and that will complete the series. And I'm definitely excited to get the conclusion to that, and of course when I finish that, that will be a series completed. Another series that I will for sure be finishing this year in April, actually, is The Drowning Empire, and the first book being The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. And I've reread this book. I think I've read this book twice now, and I'm actually going to reread it again next month in February. And then in March, I'm going to read for the first time the second book, The Bone Shard Emperor. Definitely looking forward to that. And then in April, the third book, The Bone Shard War, is the final book in the trilogy, and I will definitely for sure be reading that, and that will complete another series, and hopefully it's good, because I love the first book, 5 stars. Another series that I would love to finish, definitely at the beginning of this year, is the Greenbone Saga. Of course, the first book is Jade City. I didn't absolutely love this book, but I did give it 3.5 stars, and I've heard from countless people that books 2 and 3 are like immensely better than the first book, especially the third book. So I have Jade War here, which I planned on getting to in January. It might get pushed to like the beginning of February, but either way, I definitely plan on reading both Jade War and Jade Legacy sometime at the beginning of this year. So that'll be another completed series. Another trilogy that I really want to finish is by Sylvain Neville, who is definitely one of my favorite sci-fi authors. I love the Themis Files, but he has a new trilogy that's been coming out called Take Them to the Stars. The first book was A History of What Comes Next, and the second one is Until the Last of Me. I really enjoyed both of these, and I'll actually be rereading both of these before the third and final book for the first time again comes out in April. So again, that will be yet another completed series. Definitely looking forward to the conclusion to this series. Another trilogy that I really want to get to, I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it in the first half. I might have to push it into like maybe June or July, but that would be Obsidian Path by Michael R. Fletcher. The first book being Blackstone Heart, which I very much enjoyed. The second book being She Dreams in Blood, which I liked slightly less, but the way that it ends, I'm just baffled with, and I'm really curious to see where it goes in the third book, and Into Sorrow, which I will be reading for the first time sometime this year. I'm definitely looking forward to the conclusion to this series. And again, that will be another completed series. Trucking along with more fantasy trilogies that I would love to get to, we have Voice of War, which is the first book in the Threadlight trilogy by Zach Argyle. I didn't love this book, but I was intrigued through most of it. I did give it 3.5 stars. I do plan on picking up the audiobooks for book 2 and 3. I'm blanking on the names for them, but I will definitely be reading those, listening to them sometime this year. And again, that will be another completed fantasy trilogy. I also have a couple of horror books in series that I would love to get to. And actually, in February next month, I will be rereading My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones in anticipation for reading Don't Fear the Reaper, which is the sequel and continuation of I forget what the series is called, but basically the sequel to My Heart is a Chainsaw. Definitely looking forward to that. And while that won't be a completed series, I will have caught up with it, which is also good. I also have You by Caroline Kepnes. I've read the first 3 books, including You, Hidden Bodies, and You Love Me. And the 4th book also, there's a lot of new books coming out in April. It comes out in April and it's called For You and Only You. And I don't think that's the last book in the series. I think it's just, continuation. But once I read that, I will have not completed. I will have caught up with the series. So it's always good to feel, caught up with stuff, right? That's the whole reason I'm doing this in the first place, is to just kind of tell myself, okay, you need to finish some series, catch up with some series, so that when you start a lot of new series, probably in the second half of the year, it'll be fine because I'm caught up or I've completed a lot of these series. Now let's jump into some series that, while I do want to complete them, like I do want to eventually finish them, I'm not putting pressure to finish it this year, but it is incentive to put it in this video to say I will eventually do it. So let's get to that. So a series that I've started this year is Sun Eater by Christopher Rocchio. I've read Empire of Silence, which was pretty good. I gave it 3.5 stars, wasn't blown away by. I also read Howling Dark, book 2, which I liked a bit more than book 1. I still didn't love it though. I gave it 4 stars. And the only one that I'm going to definitely read this year is Demon in White. I'm going to read this and kind of gauge how I like this, because a lot of people say the Sun Eater books keep getting better and better. But if I read this one and I kind of like it just as much as the second one, I'm not really going to push myself to read books 4 and 5 necessarily. But if I love this book, I will, of course, continue with it. And I think there's only book 4 and 5 out right now. And then I think books 6 and 7 are going to come out maybe next year, sometime in the future. So there is a possibility that I can at least catch up on this series. Next series I have to talk about is Children of Time. I think it might be a trilogy by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've read the first book and really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I didn't love the second one as much, but I still enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. It's called Children of Ruin. The third book, Children of Memory, actually comes out this month in January. I pre-ordered it, but I'm not necessarily going to promise to read it this year, only because I know I'm going to have to go back and reread or re-listen to both Children of Time and Children of Ruin, because I really don't remember too much about both of those books, and I planned on not doing a lot of rereading this year, so that might get pushed to next year. But the hope is to eventually read that third and final book and complete a series, or at least get caught up on it, because I really don't know if that's going to just be a trilogy or not. I don't know. The next series I have to talk about is Fred the Vampire. Now, I've read the first 4 books, actually, and most of the time when I'm reading them, I'm listening to them on audiobook, because they're, of course, narrated by my favorite narrator, Kirby Hayborn. So I've read the first 4 books, and I think I'm on book 5 now, and I think there's 4 more books, and it's an ongoing series. I have no idea how many books it's going to be, but I'm not going to promise to catch up on it this year, but I do plan on at least picking up book 5, maybe book 6, and then eventually catching up to the series. But I'm definitely looking forward to it, because I really do enjoy the series. This next series is probably going to be an ongoing series for a long time if I don't DNF it. And I'm, of course, talking about Malazan, Book of the Fallen by Steven Erickson. I've read the first 3 books, Gardens of the Moon, Dead House Gates, and Memories of Ice. Now I'm on book 4 now, House of Chains. I'm going to read it sometime this year. I don't know when. And then possibly read book 5 this year, but that's all I'm going to promise. Because I know the last 5 books in the series are huge chunkers, and I don't know if I'll have time to get to any of those really. But I do plan on trying to at least finish it sometime in the near future. Now, whether that's going to be next year or 5 years from now, I have no idea, but it is an ongoing series for me if I don't DNF it. Now, these next books are technically ongoing series that I'm, could catch up on, but I have no plans on actually catching up with it this year, or at least continuing with it. The first one, of course, being The Talisman by Stephen King. The worst Stephen King book I've ever read or finished. Black House is the sequel. I'm supposed to, I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but I really just do not like these books. I've tried reading this book several times, and I can never finish it. I will eventually finish it one day, but I have no plans on doing it this year, and I'm just not very excited for it. Another one is Michael Crichton's Jurassic Park. Now, I didn't really love this book. I love the movie. It is a good book, but it's not really one of my favorite Michael Crichton books. And of course, it has a sequel, The Lost World, which I have not read yet. So it's technically an ongoing series for me, but I have zero ambition to actually read it this year. I mean, I could, but whatever. And then these next 2 are technically ongoing series, but they're really just a collection of standalones that have the same characters. You don't really have to read them in order. Of course, I'm talking about Agatha Christie with Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. I have a bunch of Hercule Poirot to read and a bunch of Miss Marple to read. I'm not going to promise at all that I'm going to even read some this year. Maybe I'll read 1 or 2, maybe. But overall, I'm definitely not going to finish it this year. So those are all of my ongoing series. Now let's talk about some books and some series that I'm potentially going to start towards the second half of the year. I'm not going to go in depth with a lot of these. I'm just going to kind of gloss over these and just say like, oh, I could get to this, or if I'm really excited to get to it. A lot of these I will definitely get to because one of my priorities for the year is to read books that have been gifted to me. So I'll let you guys know if it's something that I'm definitely going to get to because it was gifted to me, or if it's just a book that I would like to get to, but I might not actually get to it. So we've got some fat books here. Let's do Black Sun by Rebecca Roanhorse. I've heard a lot of mixed things about this book. I've heard people give it 5 stars. I've heard people give it 1 or 2 stars. I'm definitely excited to give it a shot. Stephen Graham Jones blurbs it in the back, so that's pretty exciting. I'd love to get to Sephiroth's Hand by Melissa McPhail. Now, actually, when I first got like a Kindle, like way back in the day, I actually read the first half of this and very much enjoyed it. I just didn't love reading it on Kindle, so I just stopped reading it. But from what I remember, even to this day, like having read it a while ago, it was really good. So I do definitely want to get to this, hopefully this year. I'd also love to be able to get to The Dragon's Path by Daniel Abraham. This is the first book in the Dagger and Coin series. I've heard a lot of people, especially Alan, love this. And I definitely want to try Daniel Abraham. I don't have a Long Price Quartet, but this one's also supposed to be pretty good. So hopefully I can get to it. Another book that Alan raved about, I think it was one of his favorite books of 2022, is Empire of Exiles. Got a pretty cool premise. I'm not sure if I'll actually get to it, but it'd be awesome if I did. One book that I'm not really excited about, but my girlfriend Stacy is thrilled that I'm probably going to read it because she's on my Patreon, and this is one of her books that she's voted on for me to read, so it'll probably happen. It's Outlander. I'm not really excited for it, but she's thrilled that I'm going to at least try it. So I'll try the first book, and then if I enjoy it, I'll probably move on to the second book, but no promises here. Speaking of my girlfriend Stacy, she actually left me Gates of Stone by Angus MacCallum. She's read this book. She thought it was pretty good, and I have no idea if I'll actually get to it or not, but I'd love to be able to get to it so I could, finish it and give it back to her if she wants it. She also left me with this book, which I'm actually pretty excited about because our good buddy over on Wizardly Duo of Discord, one of the moderators, Boiled Jellyfish, loves this author and this series. Priest of Bones, again, I'd love to be able to get to it. I have no idea if I'll actually do it or not. And my girlfriend Stacy also gifted me The Bard's Blade by Brian D. Anderson. So since this is a gifted book, this is more of a priority than a lot of these books. So I will for sure probably, I don't know. I say for sure, but I don't know. There's a lot of books. I'm gonna try my best to get to this book. This book I will definitely get to because me and Josephina have actually made a buddy read for it. We're gonna read it together. That would be The Elven by Bernard Hennen, maybe. I'm excited for it mainly because of the narrator is the same narrator of Lies of Locke Lamora, Michael Page. This is a bit of a chunky book, so he's going to make it a lot easier to get through. Definitely excited to see why Josephina loves this book and this series. I also have the infamous Dragon Poop book, otherwise known as The Thousand Deaths of Arter Bin by Tyler Whitesides. And basically, I'm excited for this book because of the magic system revolving around dragon poop. Will I get to it this year? Hopefully, because I'm definitely interested in the premise, but realistically, I'm not entirely sure. And believe it or not, I have more books. Again, no promises on any of these, except for this one, Chasing Graves by Ben Galley. This one was also gifted to me by Josephina, so I will definitely be checking out this book sometime this year. The next book, I'm fairly confident that we're going to read. Me and Stacey are actually talking about doing another read-along, kind of like what we're doing with Shattered Sands, but with the Black Prism series. I think we're going to start this probably in June. She's read it before. I think I tried to read it, but it was a soft DNF'd. I'm definitely excited to give it another shot. I liked the first Night Angel book by Brent Weeks, but DNF'd his other ones. But this one's supposed to more revolve around the magic system, and she loves this series and loves coming up with theories about it. And she's actually hasn't finished the series. I think she's read the first two books. I'm excited to give it a shot. So this is a definite, I think. Maybe. I also have Shards of Earth by Adrian Tchaikovsky. He is slowly turning into one of my new favorite sci-fi authors. I'd love to be able to get to it, but again, no promises. However, I do promise to give this book a shot, which is The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker. Yeah, that's his name. I am definitely excited for this, not only because Stacey gifted this to me, and I'm excited by the premise of, I think it's like dragon bones, like used in making ships or something. I'm excited for it, even though Andrew like loves this book and we tend to have opposite tastes. So I could end up hating it, but I'm excited to figure out if I will or not. I also have Sufficiently Advanced Magic, which I'm excited for because it's supposed to be kind of Brandon Sanderson-esque in the magic system. And I love me some Sanderson, so chances are I will enjoy this. If I'm going to get to it or not this year, I don't know. I also have another book that Stacey left for me that she found at a local used bookstore, which is Aching Gods. Again, not sure if I'll get to it. I don't even really know what this one's about, so I don't know. And then I also have The Bladed Faith by David Dalglish, or Dalglish. I always say his name wrong. But I am definitely interested in this because I think it's supposed to be kind of like a revenge tale, which I love. But again, it's so many books, I have no idea if I'm going to get to really any of these. I'm definitely going to get to some of them, but all of them, probably not. There's also a few books that I forgot to mention. Winter's Promise, which was also gifted to me by Stacey. This is kind of outside my wheelhouse in that it's kind of young adult fantasy with like a little bit of romance in it, I think. I will read this at some point, probably towards the end of the year. I do want to read gifted books, so I will try my best to get to it. I also have a few audiobooks that people have gifted to me that are, I think, first books in series that I'd love to be able to get to. The first one is The Legend of Blackjack, which was actually gifted to me by Patrick Ryan because he had like a copy of it that someone didn't use or something, but I've heard a lot of people rave about it, so I will listen to it at some point this year. I also have Wistful Ascending, which was actually gifted to me kindly by the author, for a review. So I will eventually get to that this year and put up a review for it. So yeah, I think that concludes all of the series. And actually, I'm a liar because looking at my spreadsheet here, I'm also forgetting about a book that I'm reading next month, Of Blood and Fire by Ryan Cahill. This is the first book in some series. I don't know, but it was Andrew's choice. He's a patron, and this was his choice for February. So I will definitely be reading this, and it's the start of a trilogy or a series. I have no idea what it's about. I have no idea if I'll like it and continue with it, but it is one that I am definitely going to start in February. So since this is all about series, I figured I would end with just listing out some series that I've actually completed as an adult. Again, I'm not counting stuff that I read as a kid, and I've only been really reading for about 10 years. So this list isn't as long as probably a lot of people's list, but I will go through it nonetheless. So we have Poppy War, which I finished, Legends of the First Empire, Rhaenyra, after or before Legends, Rhaenyra, like a lot of that I've read. Witcher, Dark Tower, John Cleaver, Mistborn Era 1 and 2, The Themis Files, Tommy and Tuppence, which is Agatha Christie, The Defined Cities, and now, what's it called? The Founders Trilogy. I just finished that in January. Kingmaker, Kingbreaker, The Gwendy Trilogy by Stephen King, Patience of a Dead Man, Harry Potter, which I actually finished as an adult. I read a lot of it as a kid, but I kind of read the rest of it as an adult. Hunger Games, Lord of the Rings, Semiosis Duology, which is a really weird and interesting sci-fi duology. Lock In, Drums, Girls, and Dangerous Pie, which does have a sequel, so it's a duology. The Farseer Trilogy, and the Bill Hodges Trilogy by Stephen King. So it might not sound like a lot to a lot of people, but for me, having only been reading significantly for about a decade, I think that's pretty good. And definitely the first half of this year, I will be adding a lot to this list. So let me know if you guys think this is impressive or not. It might not be, but I don't know. And also, there's definitely a lot of series that are not completed yet, but that I'm caught up on. Such like some of my favorite series of all time. So, Song of Ice and Fire, Stormlight Archive, Gentlemen Bastards. There's probably some that I'm forgetting, but there's a decent amount of series that I'm caught up on that aren't completed. Also, I keep remembering crap. The Dresden Files, I am not caught up on, but I've kind of softly DNF'd it for now until we have news of like the last book in the series, which probably won't be for a long time because I think he still has like 5 or 6 or more books to write. I kind of DNF'd book 14. I kind of just got tired of Dresden, but I did enjoy it. I will go back and reread the series, like I said, when we know when the last book is coming out. So that's another series that I'm not caught up on, but I have no plans on continuing with it for now. All right, so that is my series update video. All of the series that I'm in the middle of that I want to kind of complete or, kind of get caught up on. Some series that I'm probably going to try to get to over the next year or so. And some series that I'm completely caught up on or I've completed. So, yeah, a lot of series. Yeah. Let me know what you guys thought of the books and the series that I have here. Did I mention any of your favorites, any of your least favorites? What are you the most excited for me to read? And what are you the least excited for me to read? I'm curious about that too. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the YouTube channel and the Bookish Drummer Discord. I also have my Patreon page if you want to go support me there. I'm at Amazon wishlist if you'd like to go buy me some books, even though I have plenty of books. You really do not have to. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a fantastic day.